Okay, I am teaching my sister Eden, and this is chapter 13, bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is available to help those who can't pay debts, and we got a debtor who is the one who owns the money to another, and then we have a creditor who is the money that the debtor owes. And then insolvency is when the credit is more than what is owed. So when your liabilities exceeds the assets. So you owe more than you own. Bankruptcy has two main goals. Debtors' assets are treated fairly and allowing the debtor to have a fresh start. So there's a bankruptcy proceeding, 6 steps. Filing for bankruptcy. Once the filing is filed, there's a second step. The court allows an automation for the creditor's moves against the debtor. Then the third action, the court determines if it's appropriate for to go forward with bankruptcy. Okay. And then fourth, the creditors meet with the debtor. Fifth, a payment plan can be figured out and approved by the court if the debtors can pay off. And so a payment plan can be approved by the court and the creditors for the debtor to pay off all the debts. And six, at that point, the rest of the debts are usually discharged. The filing, the filing, almost all bankruptcy claims are filed by the debtors, and 1% of claims can be claimed by the creditors, but it's very rare. The automatic stay, once a petition is in place, the creditors are not allowed to try to go and get their credits from the debtors. And if they try to, then the rest of the debts can be dropped. And it's now the job of the courts to get the debts. Next is meeting with the creditors. The creditors must make a reasonable time to make a meeting. And the debtors may also be called to go under the meeting under oath. And there will be a trustee to mediate and distribute the debtors' assets to all the creditors if necessary. And the creditors must do this within 6 months, or the trustee may dismiss the debts, all the debts. Next is priority of claims. And this is this is who gets all the uh, debts first. So there's a list of who gets the assets. So first we have the top priority creditors receive payments first. Secured creditors. So those are secured creditors get security interest. After priority claims can receive payment, uh, priority claims. So first, it's spouse and children get first claims. Then second, it's the trustee and attorney fees. Third, it's employee wages. If it's a company, they got to pay 11,000 for each employee. And then fourth, it's taxes. And the debtor must be completely honest. If not, uh, the claim may be dismissed. Next is debtors exemptions. So we expect when a debtor comes out of bankruptcy to have a tiny bit of money to live off. So if he's getting all his assets taken, like his house and his really luxury cars, he's got to have some money. So he's allowed to have some money. So it's 575 per item with an aggregate amount of 12,250. Post bankruptcy is the next subject. So after bankruptcy, they no longer have to pay the discharged amounts before bankruptcy, but there are some uh, debts that can't be discharged, and that includes debts not listed, student loans, taxes, child support, and debts incurred during fraud or embezzlement. And a debtor can still recharge a debt that was discharged. And then there's different types of uh, bankruptcies. There's different chapters. So chapter 7, that's the most common, and that is called liquidation proceedings. And this is the most popular. Um, so this is a person claiming bankruptcy is allowed to liquidate all their assets to the creditors, and after all assets are spent, all their debts are discharged. And there's actually an act that's called BAPCPA, which prevented really rich people not um, to keep filing bankruptcy because they would do it too much. And if they had too much money, there's this thing called the means test, and they must make under the state's median to be able to, within the past 6 months, to do the means test because they want to be fair to the creditors and they didn't just want them to get away with losing all their debt when they didn't need to. And if a business is claiming Chapter 7, after the business liquidates, they lose everything they own, but their debts still exist, but their debts don't go anywhere. They just still exist. So, and the business closes down. So the next one is Chapter 11 reorganization. So this allows businesses to reform and after all the debts they can't pay. And so there's 5 steps. One is uh, they must make different classes of the claims and their interest of all the different amounts they have to pay. And then the second one is they must make different classes of which debts negatively affect their plan. And then third step, statement. Okay. The third step is to make clear how they're going to do better with the claim of interest by the plan. And then fourth is provide the same treatment for each of the debts that they have. And then fifth means you carry out the plan. So overall, the plan must outline how the company is going to deal with the debt it owes. And not every creditor is going to be paid, so it must act in good faith and show how the company is going to come out of bankruptcy. And once the plan is approved, the remaining debts are discharged. And then this is the last one, Chapter 13, Adjustment of Debts. And this is the least liked bankruptcy. And this is if you get kicked out of Chapter 7, you end up in Chapter 13. And this basically prolongs how long you have to pay your debts, and it can be up to 3 to 5 years. And this is only available for individuals, not businesses. And that is everything. Thank you for watching.